podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, Chris Winters here, and I want to thank everybody for showing up today. Had some technical issues coming out with the wrong links being sent out, so we have people on our support staff, and we've also posted that in the Facebook group. So for those of you who did show up and got the correct link, which had the wrong time and date on it, sorry about that, but that's why we have replays. So regardless, this is going to be probably one of the more rewatched webinars that we've done, and we've had a lot of really good ones in the past here. Today we've got some special guests on here. I'm going to bring them on in just a few minutes on that, but it's a really carryover from last week's phone call where I talked about Jill's office. And apparently a lot of you contacted them because they ended up contacting us through our support desk and said, hey, whatever you did, thanks a lot for the extra business. And so we got to talking a bit. And so I thought we'd bring on a couple people from the office there and bring them on so you can get, so those of you who haven't used them yet, and by the way, I just want to make very clear, I don't have any affiliation with them. I don't get paid a back end for anything for any services that you might go over and get with them. They have a really good service, and it will really, really help you out a lot. I'll explain more of that later. And then the second half of the coaching call today, I'm going to go over again another case study of a master domain site. And this one is going to emphasize all of the key points that I teach in the course. I'm going to expose the site. You can go back, you can look at it. It's in at least 200 cities, and I would say 180 of those cities, they have 0 backlinks, but they're ranking on page 1. Okay, so we'll go over that, and you'll be able to look at the site and nitpick it and go through it and just reverse engineer, but it's exactly the same thing we teach on here. So that'll be really exciting because I know for a lot of you getting out there, it's that with a master domain site, it's getting past that tipping point of that 4 to 7 cities, just getting past those. After that, everything just falls into play. And I've given case studies on at least 3 or 4 others, and this will be another one. So the proof is out there, and it's just evidence. And so this will give you some more inspiration for that. Before we get started, we bring our guests on here, I just want to make sure that A, you can see my screen, and B, that you can hear me okay. Just type in a 1 in the chat box. It's 2 a.m. in Aussie. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Alrighty. Yeah, it's actually, you know what, Richie, even though it's a stupid GoToWebinar says it's the 19th, it's actually my fault. Okay. So it's stupid me, not the GoToWebinar. So, alrighty, from Fountain Hills, Arizona. Nice area, by the way. I really like that area. Whole Scottsdale, North Scottsdale area. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. You can see my screen on here. I just finished a really good book, and it's a biography of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And no matter what you feel about him, I would encourage you to check it out on the end of it. And one of the things that he talks about in there, but he doesn't really emphasize it that much, but it really stuck with me, is it was just a tiny little sentence in there in his book, and it said that repetition is your reputation. And I thought, that's really powerful because there's a lot of people out there that can just go to the gym once, but Arnold's saying it's about how many repetitions and sets over time, right? A lot of people can go on a diet or increase the health foods in their diet for a period of time, but once is not going to do it. It's repetition. A lot of people can start a business. They can get started on it. They can get all excited about it. But then if they kind of find out it's maybe a little bit harder than they thought it was. And so they stop putting in the repetition. You've got to put in the repetition in order to create the kind of business and the lifestyle that you want on here. Anybody that you look around that has any, just iota of success, it's repetition. They just over and over, and they just never quit. They just keep doing it. They just keep going back to the gym. They keep doing their sets. They keep doing their reps. They keep coming to these coaching calls. They keep coming to the updates. If you can, you come to the live events. On that, I'll be announcing the particulars for our Barcelona event on that end of it. The dates are booked. Those are it. and I'm going to be opening that up. And if you're an active Calls You member, you get to come for free. Just take your, you're just in charge of your plane ticket, your room and board, and your food on that end of it. And we've got some really exciting stuff. It's going to be a pure workshop. There's nothing's being sold there. It's a place where you come with your laptop, with an extension cord, and you sit down and you're going to learn and do. And one of the challenges that I'm seeing in the group is that it takes a while to build up these master domain sites. Although the one I'm going to show you right now doesn't. But again, there is no overnight success, but it takes a while to get those built up. So people are always looking for extra ways to supplement their income while they're doing that. So that's really going to be the entire theme of the event there. And I'm going to show you some really unique ways on how you can use Google AdWords and pay-per-click through affiliates pay-per-clicks to generate some immediate income on that end of it. So I'm going to go through that. That could be an entirely different, brand new course I could open up on that. So that's going to be the primary focus of that event. So if you're planning on coming, plan on learning, plan on working. One of the prereqs will be before you come out is you'll want to get your AdWords account set up on that end of it. And this is what's nice about this method is that you could do it for a couple of hours per week, just checking your ads, going in, adjusting them. And this is using affiliates, so you don't have to muck with customers or anything like that. And you're going to get paid on a purely pay-per-call basis. Meanwhile, you're still building and growing out your master domain site because that's your true asset. That's something that's going to bring you income over a lifetime, long time. Where AdWords account, something like that, yes, you can bring in affiliate pay-per-call income on it. However, you have to manage that stuff constantly. So that's what we're going to be doing there. We might add some more stuff. I think that's probably going to pretty much pack it up right there. So we'll just leave it with this before we bring out our guests in here. If you don't find the time, if you don't do the work, you don't get the results. It's just as simple as that, right? There's a lot of people out there I think they get caught up in this kind of myth of the 4-hour work week. They see, Facebook is a terrible place for this kind of stuff. They go in and they see all the end result of hard people and their work, and they see these lifestyles that they're living, but no one shares the hardship or how hard they had to work in order to get there. They just think it's kind of instant, and it's not that way. So, and the other example that I give a lot with that is my son. I mean, right now, he just turned 14 years old in July. He's been training with football, or football is what they call it in the rest of the world, but in the States they call it soccer. He plays professional soccer in Spain. One of the very, very few, there's only one other person that we know of in the under 19 age bracket that is American. And so he's really proud of that. He works very hard. Now's the off season. What is he doing in the off season? Well, we're here in Korea, but he's here training with the professional team here in Korea. They invite him over to do that because he's half Korean, and so he's training literally 6 days a week, and it is really, really hot here. So he's not taking his time off on that end of it, and that's repetition, right? Sets and repetitions. He didn't get to where he is overnight. He's been doing this since he was 5-6 years old. So, okay, so let me introduce our guests here, and let me give a little bit of a backdrop on this. And the concept is this, is that as you're building your lead gen sites, even if they're on page 4 or 5 or 3, they're going to get calls coming in for sure. And the idea is to never let a call go to waste. And you want to take advantage of that call. So you have some options here. You could forward the call to your own cell phone and take the call, or better yet, you could forward the call to Jill's office. And we're going to talk about how that. I'm just going to overview that process that we talked about last week, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper, and we'll see kind of different ways we could leverage this service even more because we'll have the guests on here, and we can get some immediate feedback from them. But the whole idea is that you just forward your numbers, Jill's office. Jill, and this is going to be a customer calling, right? So a customer might be calling and say, I need an immediate emergency plumber. My hot water heater just busted, so on and so forth. And then you would want to give detailed instructions of the type of information you'd want Jill's office to take down. Name, number, maybe a brief description of the particular situation, best number to call you back, and just a little short script, something like, we'll have an emergency plumber call you right back. This is the best number to reach you. Let me confirm it. Boom. They hang up the phone, then they pick the phone back up, and they're going to call one of the plumbers in the area where you've got your lead gen site ranking that you want to work with. And you want to pre-qualify those people by calling up 2 or 3 or as many as it takes, call up as a customer, and you want to just observe how they treat you. Do they pick up the phone quickly? Are they working towards a close? Did they not answer their phone? Stuff like this. And you want to kind of get a feel for that, and you want to say, I'm looking for a bid, maybe for a job. How soon could you guys come out? See how eager and willing they are for the potential work. You want a business that's professional and wants your work. And then you want to have maybe the top 3 plumbing companies that you want to work with in that area in order, 1, 2, 3 that you would like to work with. And then you want to give those phone numbers to Jill's office, and they'll immediately call that first one, and they'll call in, and they're basically saying, hey, I've got a customer. They need a hot water heater taken care of right away, like right now. Do you have time to take care of them and call them like in the next 5 minutes? Yes, sure we do. Okay, great. Here's the information: name, number, phone number, and then they're probably going to say at that point, who are you? And all I have to say is we're just a marketing company. We specialize in plumber leads. We just have some extra customers. We don't have anybody to take them. We'd appreciate if you take this customer. Oh, by the way, we will call the customer back in a few hours just to make sure that you contacted them and everything went okay. And just leave it at that. It's not you're not selling anything. You're literally handing cash away is what you're doing. So with that, what I want to do is bring on our guest here. Let me just unmute. Let me get the audio here. 1 second. Okay. No, that's not it. 10 days. Alrighty, so I have Josh and Michelle on. Guys, are you there?
We are.
Hello there.
Yes,
Oh, perfect. So we were Josh, you and I were talking the other day on Skype, and we were kind of feeling out this kind of process. And one of the things that you brought up was some of the expectations that should be set if somebody wants to go through this kind of soft sell process of making sure that all their leads get answered and they get basically given to a particular business that you want to do with, that you want to work with. What are some of the expectations that they should expect? And then if you could also include some of the costs on here for some of the people who haven't looked at the website yet, because this is a screaming deal. There's nobody that cannot afford this.
well, thank you. One of the first things people ask us is, what do you do? Are you a call center? And I guess in some ways we are because we have people sitting there taking calls. But in reality, and we have Michelle here today. We're going to have her talk to you a little bit. But we have Jills that sit there and take calls. We call them your smart assistant because they don't just take calls for you, but our technology allows them to take a call and it queues up your name of your business and the script that you can change on the fly that they will read and answer. So the person calling feels like they are calling your Class A office in operation. And so we can do little things besides just the call to facilitate you growing your business, like emails and whatnot. And one of the things Chris and I were talking about is this expectation thing. One of the things that's really important is all the girls are really extremely awesome. And when I introduce Michelle, you're going to see that. But they're people, and sometimes people call in and want us to just explode their business for them and be the magic button. But they're people, and we can't close every single call that comes in for you. So we're not a hardcore sales organization. We are your smart assistant sitting in an office out in front of your office, taking calls, doing the things that you ask us to do. And when you look at how to utilize us with that perspective, it gets really productive because you can direct, you can change things on the fly, you can ask them to do little things, and dynamically grow the interaction that's happening, which grows your business. So,
Are people able to listen to the phone calls? Are the phone calls recorded?
they are recorded. We operate on the Twilio
Oh,
backbone.
okay, okay.
Funny you would say that is a bit of a legal
Yeah,
issue. As you know, if you record, and this is some internal dialogue we've had a lot of. How do you record that? Because if you do record it, we do need to notify, and so that does sometimes give the impression that we're not just your small local business, and that maybe we're a
right.
call center. So, um, just frankly, we do record them. We don't always make them all available. We're trying to figure out a solution for that right now.
Not a big deal. I was just wondering on that, but I didn't realize that you guys had the ability to be able to just change the script on the fly, so that maybe the next time a call comes in, then there's a slightly different script up there. You just adjusted it a
Yeah,
bit.
absolutely. How it works is obviously there's a platform that we work on in house, and but yet you, the owner of the account, you have an app on your phone or on your computer, and you can actually right there just change it. Say, hey, I'm out to lunch. I'll be back in an hour. Just tell people, give them the script, tell them I'm out to lunch. I'll call them right back, or throw in a promotion. So it really is instantaneous. As soon as you hit submit, that does come through. And maybe right here, let me introduce Michelle real quick because I want to ask her a question about that. Michelle's one of our senior Jills, a trainer. And just to give you a background on our Jills, we're all U.S. based. We're actually located out of Utah. She's a graduate of a very big university, and maybe forgive me, Michelle, but I think you were valedictorian of your college class or super cum laude or something. Really, something I can't even
Right.
spell that way. So you have really high end, amazing gals that are taking your calls here. But Michelle, do you see people utilizing that on the fly functionality much?
We do, yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about it is, you can instantly change it. It notifies us instantly. We notify all the Jills, so and we're ready to move with the changes. We're really, we've taken so many of these different calls. We're really good about, molding ourselves to whatever the nature of that call and what we need to do. What some of these lead generation clients that we've had are doing is, they'll send us actually several different scripts. And so depending on, what the person's calling about, what they need, we click on that script, we go through it. So there's lots of options here. Some people will just get one phone number that they send all their leads to, and we can answer as that. If you have multiple niches that you're getting leads for, you can do it one of two ways. One, we just answer generically, hello, this is Jill, how can I help you? And then find out whatever they're needing help with, plumbing, tree service, whatever it may be. And then, kind of maneuver the script according to that niche. Other clients you can get as many phone numbers as you like. And so you can get multiple phone numbers. I'm going to forward this niche to this number, so we answer that specific script for that niche, or if it's even to a certain city, use this script for Dallas. So there's just lots of flexibility there, however you want to set it up and work it with us. There's lots of options there, just whatever works best for you. And the calls, even though you don't get the recorded version of it, immediately after the call, you're going to receive an action item, what we call an action item. It's this notification on your app, the Jill's Office app, and it will give all the lead information, what the call was, the nature of the call, all their contact information, and you let us know, gather all this, ask these questions, and we can ask whatever questions that you need us, and you'll receive that immediately after the call. So that way you can track what leads are coming in and also track which contractors are picking them up.
Yeah, it's really great, Chris. It's just kind of a fun note here is that a lot of times we test the girls out and we call in and make up stories and ask them ridiculous questions. I've even had them do that in front of a live, great big live audiences and get somebody out of the audience to call in and just make up some crazy story. They do a pretty good job of rolling with it, and so we have some fun with it that way.
In other words, they're just really good on their feet. I mean, they're just really fast thinkers. You've got to be, and I guess you become
Well,
really nimble.
Obviously we have a lot of people we do this for, but the platform that we use is really one of the unique aspects that enables the Jills to help them roll on their feet. Obviously they have to have the personality for it, but the platform cues them on things. And so one of the things that we do is we take everybody that comes on with us through. In fact, we're probably working with Michelle on a lot of this. She takes you through a strategy session where you basically, or just like you bring on a new employee, you take us through orientation. We then integrate with your processes and thought processes and scripts and flows, and then we put that into our system. So every Jill doesn't have to have all that memorized, but the system cues that as they're reading the scripts and helps them on their feet. So that's one of the ways. What's one of our secrets how we do that?
Yeah, just a well-run company basically on that end of it. So some people asking what are the rates on that? I already know what the rates are, but if you could just because the rates are really good.
Rate question is a really interesting question, and when we put the whole program together, I'm a 20 years in lead generation internet marketer, and I've been at this full time for 16 years, done nothing but this, and so. And by the way, Chris, your stuff's great. I'm a member of your program, and I think everybody knows you provide some really good quality content.
Yeah, thank you.
But one of the things that I found personally was I'm getting calls, and I didn't want to be handling those myself. That was not the best use of my time, and it was tying me down to my desk, which I didn't want to be. And so finding somebody that could take the calls that was affordable was really hard. There were some call answering options out there, but the base monthly subscription was a little bit cost prohibitive when I'm looking at couple hundred sites. I didn't want $15,000 a month in accounts going out just for call answering, and so we really went to the drawing board to innovate how we could structure the pricing so it could be scalable in a way that what I could use and then other marketers like myself could use. And that's when we came up with this kind of a la carte, use as you go pricing structure where we just charge for the baseline, the number. So every number you get, there's a baseline to it. And that puts you in the system, that puts the scripts in, that gets everything queued up. And then from there, we just have basically a chart that says, okay, if we do this, it's a certain cost. For example, an inbound call from a lead, we charge $1.25 for it. Now, it's not how many minutes we're on the call, and sometimes we really don't we lose money on that a lot sometimes, and sometimes it comes out a little bit ahead if it's faster, but it all balances out. But our customers really like that straightforward, easy cost structure. And so one of the things that Michelle does is sits down and takes you through all the things that we do. Like we'll send a follow-up email, we'll record into a spreadsheet if you want to, we'll do follow-up calls or reminders, or we'll schedule on your calendar. So there's different things, and every business runs a little bit different. And so what she'll do is sit down and help you strategize the best way to leverage what we do to make you more money so you can get more leads, help you with the script, help you with what kind of information should go out in the follow-up email from somebody that calls in if you're going to do that. And we can send out a follow-up email with testimonials, and if you're a contractor, for example, you might want to put some videos in there or a follow-up references and things like that. And so we can do that, and she'll help you customize that, and then that becomes part of the flow right away, and that's where our conversions have really been helping out.
Yeah, let's slow down there and kind of talk about that, because that's really important. I can tell by the questions coming in that a lot of people maybe did not watch or attend last week's webinar, let me just reiterate that this particular process, as long as the person that you're contacting wants and needs the business, this works literally 100% of the time, because you're not selling. We don't even use sales languages like leads or anything like that. You're literally, there's a live customer that just called on one of your phone numbers. Jill's office picks it up. They're scripted out exactly what to say, the information to take it. They know exactly what to do after they gather the information. They're going to call the particular niche in that city that you want to work with. I would recommend having your top 3 and pre-screening them. Calling the first one, and it's just, hey, I've got a customer. This customer needs to get taken care of right away. This is what they need on here. Do you have time to take care of this customer now? Yes. Okay, great. Let me give you their name, their number, their contact information, and what they need done. We're going to be calling them back in a few, we'll call them back later on today for a follow-up to make sure you followed up with them. And we'll have more leads, more customers for you later if you'd like, as long as customers are getting taken care of. And then at that point, some things that I didn't realize that they could do until I started talking with Josh was that, and I think it's a fantastic idea, is that they could contact, they could gather the person there who's in charge of their marketing or their leads or whoever it is. It's usually a smaller business anyways. And you could follow up with them. What a great way to follow up with them. You could have Jill's office email it out as well, or you could gather that information too. And maybe you could call up the customer, or even have Jill's office call up the customer. Just a very quick, just want to make sure the technician came out there, make sure that you're satisfied. Okay, great. Just something very basic, just a courtesy call type thing. And then you could use that as an excuse, a valid excuse to email and also call back as well. And when you email back, you could email back, hey, really appreciate you taking care of our customer. We didn't have any other plumbers in the area that could. We called her back. She was very satisfied with your service. You're the kind of companies we like to work with, blah, 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 blah. Here's some testimonials of some other plumbers that we've worked with and the leads that we've gotten them and how happy their service and their service, their income has gone up, whatever percentage, so on and so forth. On here, we have more leads like this, and we would like to, discuss with you how we can partner up with you. It can be as simple as that, or you can take a two-legged approach where when the second lead comes in, then you call back to the same company. Say, hey, you guys did such a great job with the first customer that we gave you the other day. We contacted them; they were really happy with it. We have another customer, and this customer needs to be taken right away as well. Do you have time to do this as well? And at that point, they're really going to be wondering who the heck you are, and obviously, if they're a growing business, and they're going to want more business, and they're going to appreciate those leads, and they're going to be asking right away, hey, who are you, so on and so forth. On that, and that's a perfect opportunity to come in and basically partner up with them. It's just a really easy, soft sale. So I think the email is fantastic.
Well, with sales.
Yeah, go ahead.
With sales too, that way, Chris, that's a great. We're really good at those soft sales. We've had some companies come in and want us to do hard cold call sales for them, and no one's very successful with that. And I'm sure Michelle would attest. A lot of girls don't really like doing that as much. But these soft ones are fun, and everybody wants. That's a call that everybody wants to be getting anyway. And so the girls are really engaging. It's really easy for them to, that's what we do. We schedule, we administrate and facilitate, and so that it's a really a great fit for that type of activity. And Michelle, maybe you can talk about this, but you'll even do, we'll do some soft sales at the end. Some people that we have will actually have us do the sell part, and some then will step in and take over at that point too. So how have you been doing that mostly, Michelle?
Yeah, we mostly just been setting it up for them. we're, just like you were saying, Chris, where we can make a follow-up satisfactory call to the customer. Just want to make sure you were taken care of. Was it timely? Were you happy with the service? And then, do that follow-up to the potential client so that you can send leads to and just say, hey, great job, and depending what your name is, John would love to talk with you more, see how you can partner up, and you can even give us access to your online calendar. We could schedule a time, for them to talk 10, 15 minutes with you, whatever it may be. So just kind of set up that, that final way for you to actually get them as a client.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. I think everybody see how sharp Michelle is, and they're on the ball, so it works really well.
Tom had a good comment in the chat box, and he says, as a veteran salesperson, the ability to direct the conversation and nimbly respond to questions is key. Sounds like they have it nailed. Micro outsourcing at its best. Applause. So I couldn't agree more. So good comment there.
Well, thank you for the comment. We're not perfect, so every girl's human, and so don't think that we'll nail everyone. I mean, that's the reality, but we train hard. Michelle trains everybody really well, and we do our best. So thank you for the compliment.
Nice. All righty, good. So I'm looking for some questions here. Is there anything else that you would like to share about your business model? It's kind of like the way I kind of look at it is it's kind of like you got these little Lego pieces, and you can just kind of piece them together. Like, I have an inbound call. This is what you have inbound call. This is the end result. You want them to now make an outbound call, then we do that. You want them to collect an email and call the customer back. You can just kind of plug in the pieces that you want, as long as it's within the ability of your staff and team to do, which everything we've talked about so far clearly is.
Yes, and even if it's not, we've had, we've grown a lot by people asking certain things. Somebody came to us a while back and said, well, can you put our leads into our CRM? And we've scratched our head and thought about how could we do that in an efficient way that would cross all the different platforms. And we figured out a process that works pretty good. So now if part of what you would want as a marketer or a business owner is, hey, when they call, capture their name and email and phone number and go ahead and just enter that into my CRM. And I have a whole sequence that'll just kick off, and that would be really helpful. That's what I want. And so you can direct your smart assistant to do just that. And that all starts with, when we onboard, you sit down with Michelle, and she puts that Lego plan together for you on how it's all going to fit together. And now you're off to the races. Now, just a quick note, just a logistical note. People ask us about what our capacity is on calls. Obviously, if we can't take on the whole world at one time. I mean, we do have to hire and schedule very efficiently to be able to stay in business. That's how our model works. But if you have a big load that you're looking at bringing on, or you've got some kind of unique need, just give us a heads up, and we can work with you and give you some direction on how that would onboard and be able to roll out. So.
Nice. Barry asks on here, he says, this sounds like a great service. Does the service give some feedback regarding whether the contractor seems like a good prospect for lead based on their experience? I'm going to answer this first. Barry, I think it's up to you. That's more of a CEO kind of executive decision that you want to make, and that's part of the pre-qualifying on that. So you're pre-qualifying maybe the top 3 plumbers or the top 3 roofers or painters or whatever in your particular area that you like to work with. And I suggest calling them up as a customer, pretending that you've got a particular job and you're shopping around and just seeing how they treat you. Do they call you back? Are they busy? Do they seem like you're a pain in their day or whatnot? Are they trying to close and move that sale on here? Maybe call back again. Maybe get somebody else. See how they go. Look at their website. Are they a professionally run business? Do they treat you like they want and they want to earn your business? That's probably somebody that you want to do business with. But I think that you're the best judgment of that. Now, I'll pass it over to Jill's office here, and any feedback that you might have on this end of it on here. He's basically asking, can they give some feedback regarding the contractor if it seems like a good prospect for
Yeah.
leads based on their experience?
Well, the short answer is you have your Jill and Smart Assistants just like your employee sitting in your office, so you can always communicate with her and ask her. But Michelle, how do you have a good feel for that, and when you interact with somebody, how do you tell your client, the business owner, that they're maybe you shouldn't work with somebody?
Sure. And I love that idea of the mystery shopper. I mean, that's the way to really get in and tell if they're going to be good. And I mean, definitely, if you want a deal to help out with that, to narrow your list. I know with one of our clients, we're actually doing qualification calls. How many customers can your business handle a day? What services do you provide? What areas? It's kind of those kinds of questions. And then based on those answers, maybe you can narrow it down to a handful that you want to call and actually do mystery shopping with. I think that's a great idea. And as Josh has been saying, we're really flexible. Whatever pieces of that Lego you want to put together. If you want us to help out making those mystery calls, or if you want us to help do those pre-qualification questions to see for someone to be interested in helping out, we're definitely here to help out with any of those parts.
Sure, good. Chris asks on here, he says, do they charge if it is a local marketing company trying to sell them SEO or like services on that? I'm just going to answer it for them. I'm going to say yes, you're probably going to get charged for that. It's kind of like a pay-per-click. I think if the call goes through and there's an agent there and they pick up the phone, and it's actually some kind of agency trying to solicit your website for business on that end of it. But first of all, would you charge for that? I would assume you would. You have bodies there ready to answer the phone. The phone rings. It's and you're doing your job.
Yeah, you're correct. If they answer the call, then it incurs. It's like the click. That's the click.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But on another note, though, too, if you get spammed and you just bring it to our attention, we can do some call blocking on a number, and I mean, we're human. We're going to work.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Also, on the call zoo end of it, which is where the call will be originating from, every call that is marked as spam goes into a pool, and it blocks the same phone number for every member of Call Zoo. So we don't get a whole lot of spam. So if you just put up some citations or something, and with Yelp or Yellow Pages and stuff, we pretty much have all those blocked. Sometimes they'll change their numbers and they'll get some new ones, but they come through members area, and someone will find it and like, oh, this is a telemarketer, and they'll block it. It gets blocked for everybody. So we're not going to get a whole lot of those, and the few that come through, you can obviously have them probably block it for you on that. But for an inbound call, what does it cost for an inbound call? What would that have cost?
One inbound call is $1.25, and that's it does not have a time limit. We're just incentivized to get our job done and move on. So we're not going to sit and chat.
Okay, so yeah, so if you,
the Olympics and charge it for a 15-minute call.
Yeah, no, this is how I love how they price this, because it's just straightforward. There is no minutes, nothing like this. I mean, if you've ever gone out to try to shop for some type of answering service, they're really just going to be an answering service, and they charge a lot more. And they don't you can't customize the work and stuff like that, not like these guys can on here. This is a good question by Shane. He says, do most all niches work with this service? Towing, for example, towing service. I think towing service would work for this perfectly. Somebody's on the roadside, they're stuck, they call in, and it's typically what happens anyways. The call is typically going to a dispatch center, and so that's going to be, the customer's going to be used to that. Yes. Okay. So the information you'd want to do is what's relevant for that towing example on the end of it. Well, you're gonna want to know the type of vehicle, right? On the type of vehicle that can probably, what the condition. Do they have a flat tire? Do they need to be towed somewhere? and how are they going to be paying? And okay, well here's what the average rate will be. We'll have a driver call you back to confirm that. Is this the best number to reach you? Jill's office calls your top 3 towing companies. They got all the information. It's pretty much a done deal. Are there any of these? Are there any niches out there that you could think of that wouldn't work for this? I can't think of any, but
On our end,
yeah.
yeah, maybe Michelle, maybe you guys have had that. Some of the girls have had some. I can't think of, some of the ones that they want us to do hard sells on outbound leads. So we get some outfits where we do lead generation for them, and they're getting a real cold notification, and then via some sort of email trigger, and then we do callbacks. I mean, that's just like any lead gen. The colder it is, the lower your stats go on it, and we see the same thing there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we answer pretty much everything. So
We have retailers that use us that sell bird cages to law firms to. The thing that's really
a
interesting.
psychic. We have a psychic.
A psychic.
That's a fun one.
There's a common denominator in all of them, and that is it's a smaller operation up to mid-size. Sometimes mid-size use us as overflow or vacation or things like that. And what I found personally doing my lead gen stuff is that it really legitimizes my lead gen operation when they call in. So the consumers really do feel like it's a legitimate local company. And then sometimes, and what I've been doing more and more is requiring the lead, that the company, as I move them into taking my leads and contracting with them, that I say, I really hope that you would use this account, the Jill's office, for overflow, because we know that statistically, if you miss the call, especially in the nature of professional services, the caller's just going down the list calling the next person. And the person who picks up the phone, the majority of the time, is the person that gets the business, and that's just a fact. And so we recommend them, just giving them access to your account, and that way they have better success in the long run with the leads that you send. That's what I found with the leads I send. They have a better success with them. They're happier with me, and the relationship goes on and on.
No, absolutely, and stuff. And I see, and one of the things that will be, we're finished with it. We're just doing the training videos right now, but we have our directory site, and a lot of the directory sites out there, what they do, and I'm not talking a directory site of like 10 or 12 different niches, but just one. So like there's one directory site for emergency dentists, and basically the way that their model works is that they've got like 6 emergency dentists located, say like in Phoenix. So if you type in emergency dentist Phoenix, they've got 6 there, but you're calling one centralized number, and so they know where you're calling in from. And then say, okay, you're in the Phoenix area, and then what they're doing is they say, hold on, let's get. They collect the information. You've got a chipped tooth or whatever. Let me have a doctor call you right back in your area. Hold on, I want to make sure that they're available, and they're selling those live leads right there. That's a model. That's something you could use Jill's service for to grow and expand your business. You could also do a combination. You could have a number on the top of the page, and then you could have an individual tracking number for each one of the 6 or 8 emergency dentists that you had on your directory site. So there's a lot of different ways that you could do that kind of stuff. Do you guys have time for a few more questions? I know
Sure.
it's late your time. Okay. And
That's
Friday
Yeah,
night.
tell Michelle thank you. She's taking her Friday night.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, no problem. Happy to be here.
So,
Go ahead. Yeah. What's another question?
Okay. Are you going to assign a particular assistant to a specific customer of yours? I mean, one assistant to one customer process, or am I missing something? How do you guys run
Is
that?
that one-to-one? They hire and only get one assistant, one Jill Smart assistant?
Yeah, I don't think that's not necessary. It's not even the point to make this process successful. But how do you guys operate that?
Go ahead, Michelle.
I can take that if you want. Yeah. So when you get when you sign up for our service, you're going to be assigned a personal Jill, and she's going to oversee your account. She'll be your first point of contact that you can send all the scripts to, talk to, give information about your company, and then she'll help train all the other Jills in your company to know how to take the calls. So she'll kind of be overseeing it, be over the majority of your outbound calls that you'd want us to make, but we'll train all the other Jills in it just because we want our big thing. Good old Arnie said, reputation is repetition is your reputation.
Yes.
We're all about response time is your reputation as well, and so we want to make sure on the first or second ring we're getting that call. So if you're in the shower, you're out in the mountains, wherever it may be, you're not getting that lead. We want to make sure that we get it. So that's why we try to stay staffed with all the Jills, training them all in your company with the scripts there. So no matter who takes the call, we'll be ready for it. But you definitely have your own point of contact there, your own personal Jill to kind of oversee your account.
Yeah,
it really helps
that's
when they're on vacation or off. Maybe they're not working that day or something. So you have that ability. Someone else build it. It gives you a bigger breadth of time availability. Also, with the calls, you can do all kinds of things with the calls. For example, we can take all the calls. We can take calls based on what you like. If a call comes in, you can decide not to take it and just send it over to us on a one-off basis. And so there's a lot of ways that you can decide which calls we take. So it can be really tailored that way.
Do you have mostly men or women? Someone's asking, so I don't think it really matters. But...
all the Jills are real Jills.
Okay.
Yeah, right now we're all Jills.
All Jills. So good. Okay. Let's go there.
To answer that, there aren't taking calls anyway. We've got Jacks in the office that do stuff, but not taking Philly calls.
Yeah. Martin, if you want to contact Jill, just it's jillsoffice.com, right? Jillsoffice.com. That's their contact information on that end of it. I'll also put it on the replay in the bottom of this webinar as well. So this is a good comment from Tom. It says, everyone in the world solves problems for a living. A guy with a shovel solves a problem. Jill's office will solve a problem for me, us, that no one else that I've heard of is able to do. I would completely agree with that, Tom. Absolutely.
Thank you.
On here. Yeah, because this is, I mean, the key takeaways of this is, and a lot of the calls of students on here are not in the United States, but they've got their lead gen sites in the United States. So you might have a time zone thing. You may have an accent thing that you're not comfortable with.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. Kind of fun point of reference. We laugh that we have marketers in India that use us as their man in the U.S. and the whole outsourcing career. Your man in India.
Yes.
So we have people in India using us to do their personal assistant work in the U.S. We have them from all English countries. We have them from France, from Spain, from England, all over the world.
I just think it's so convenient. Plus, the other really big takeaway here that everyone needs to drive home, when you're in the lead gen business, you want every single lead to be answered by a live person. Until you've got a client, until you've got a client that's going to take those phone calls, your leads that are coming in and you're growing out. In the second half of this coaching call today, I'm going to show you a site that's showing up in 200 cities. You're not going to have 200 clients in every one of those cities to start out with. You're going to need somebody to answer those phone calls. You don't want those to go to waste. You're losing money every time that happens. Plus, an additional service I didn't even think of is that on the back end of CallZoo, you can see when the numbers drop off. You can see how many numbers your clients answered and how many they didn't, and you'll be shocked at the percentage. Even a well-run office will not answer 20 to 25% of the calls. They just won't answer them. And this is during business hours. And even after business hours, those are some of the best phone calls to take because those customers are the ones that really want the service the most. And by the way, what are your guys' hours?
Well, you make a great point. And that's exactly why, Chris, that I've started having my clients almost requiring them to work with me to transfer the account to them. So then Jill's office is the backup for it. Because then I know that the call was answered and selfishly I get a charge, but they're going to be happier and they're not missing out on that money. And I'm helping everybody out. Hours,
Yeah.
what are our hours now, Michelle? That we're expanding constantly because we are getting a lot of international stuff, but we are.
Right. Right now we are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so we're going to hit the 9 to 5 no matter where you are in the continental United States.
Gotcha.
And then we're even open Saturday mornings from 8 to noon. So, we can catch those after hours a little bit in the morning and the evening depending on where you're located, but we'll definitely be there at least, all during business hours.
Gotcha.
And
Very
that
good.
our intent strategically is to grow that just as demand is there, just to justify having those late hours, having a Jill sit there and take calls. And so, that is definitely on the horizon. It's just not quite there with the demand.
Okay, so I'm just going to type this in here in the chat box. People are asking, how do we get set up? I just sent the link out to everybody on that. So it's just jillsoffice.com. Take a look at their website. Their website's very clean. It explains very clearly how that service goes. Okay, so, so Mary says, as soon as I get ranked, I'll be giving you a call. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Mary, we hope that you do. It's a great service. And what I would recommend doing is, even if you're on page like 4 or 5 or 6, it doesn't cost you the opportunity cost of a phone call of a customer calling in and you losing that opportunity to gain a future client is really high. So I would encourage everybody to act on this sooner than later. You don't want to wait until you're on page 1. It's way too late. You can just look at the back end and you see calls coming in. And if you're missing any call, you now want to jump on this immediately.
Well, that's exactly why you build the scalability that way, Chris, is because, with the higher price entry points, you can't scale it. It's just not, it isn't scalable from a business model. And we said the $5 is a monthly recurring, that requisitions a phone number and gets us all connected. And so if you don't have any, say you're on page 95, you don't get any calls at that point. Well, it's not costing anything, but then you do get that big jump, and all of a sudden you're there. And then you have the base plus whatever usage you hit from there. So it really becomes scalable to set yourself up to be prepared to grab whatever traction you get as you roll into the market.
Absolutely. It's very scalable for a small business for sure. Greg's asked a good question here. So with the kind of dialogue that I was talking about, why doesn't Jill transfer the call immediately to the service company after explaining it and stuff, instead of just passing on the contact information? Do you guys have the ability?
We don't have a call transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
Point.
Yeah, which
and the
is
other
fine.
point too is we want it. Yeah, and if you don't have them as your actual client yet, we want to introduce, hey, we've got this lead for you, can you take them? Because if they can't, then we want to call the next contractor on your list to make sure their lead's going to be taken care of immediately.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a very reasonable thing if someone calls in, regardless whether it's dentist, towing, roofing, whatever it is. Just say, hey, I'm going to have a doctor or one of our lead contractors call you right back. Let me just get your information. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
But there's a psychological aspect of it too. I mean, if you call in and say, hey, can I talk to the best attorney in the city? And they say, oh yeah, he's sitting right here playing solitaire. Let me get him from you.
Yeah.
That's a really good
There's
point.
a perceived perception going on there versus, it's because he gets out of court, I'll have him call you back.
Yeah, that's super. So Matt asked a good question here, and Matt, you may want to also watch the previous coaching call in here. But what happens? He's asking basically what's the process after Jill's office takes the call. Let's say the customer is happy, they're doing business with that. Well, there's really one or two ways you could do this, or other ways as well. And it's one of the reasons we have such a good active Facebook groups. People are always sharing best practices and stuff. But I would say that if when the first lead comes in, Jill's office answers it, they call the first contractor that you want to do business with. They call the customer back, and you got the notes from Jill's office that everything went really well. You could either wait for another lead to come in and just repeat that process to really bring it home, or that's a perfect opportunity because you can also have them gather their email and even email back a canned email response if you wanted to. And that's a good opportunity to come in either with an email, followed up with a phone call, say, hey, here's the email. We gave you the lead the other day. This was the customer's name. We followed up. You did a really fantastic job with her. We have more customers like this, and we like to deal with professional companies like yours. When would be a good time that you and I can get together on a phone call so you can get more of our customers? Just as simple as that on that. And that's going to be a very, very warm, easy sale on that end of it. Do you operate in Canada? Same time
We can
zones,
make,
right?
yeah, we can
We
make calls.
do. Yeah, we
Now,
can get local
now,
phone
that
numbers from
accent
there as
now,
well.
so maybe you can give me your best Canadian accent, eh?
Hey.
We're working on those. Yeah. No, we can get the great thing about it too is when you sign up, you can choose a phone number, local to that, whatever city you want. And so it looks like when we're calling the potential contractor that, we're actually calling from that city, and we actually have local numbers to Canada as well.
Yeah, using Twilio, so you've got the numbers there. It's easy. And
Yes.
same time zones, and same language. So, could you could you call several contractors to give away the leads and find the best one, then follow up with the contractor until a good one is found? I'll let Michelle answer this and describe it. Just my 2 cents on this end of it is that you should pre-screen, like what Michelle called it, a kind of a secret shopper. You should know ideally the businesses that you want to work with. More than likely the really good ones they're gonna have a professional manner in which they answer the phone. They're gonna have a process in which they're trying to get you to the next closing step that may be coming out to do an estimate, something like that. And they're going to be very courteous, and they're going to be gathering your information along the way, because nothing's more valuable than gathering the customer's information. And then at that point, you're probably going to want to, you probably found them online. Are they already ranking on page one? A lot of people think, well, then I don't want to do business with them. No, you want to do business with the people that are ranking on page one. Are they doing Google AdWords? Yes. Then you definitely want to do business with them. These people understand marketing. They're doing it. And this would be something of value that they could add to their marketing. They have an existing budget for that. So I would say you want to pre-screen them and then give them maybe your top 3 plumbers that you want to do business with, and have them in order. If the first one doesn't take it, then the second one. If the second one doesn't take it, then the third on that of it. But I wouldn't leave it up to them to kind of manage whether which one would be the best one to follow up with. That's so that's about all I'll say on that one. If Jill's office was emailed a lead, could she outbound the call? Or only do okay? So that's a really good question, Mike. So basically, on our Callzoo lead tracking sites, you can have the customer call, and that's an easy one. Or you can have someone fill out a form to have someone call you back, like with an estimate or something like that. And so he's asking, could we have that email lead forwarded to Jill's office, and then Jill's office will then get the full email, would have the customer's name, the address, their phone number, and the whatever information that the customer wants or questions that they have.
Absolutely, we are doing that, and so the answer is yes. And really, if it's a basic type of a thing that you'd have your assistant, if you had one hired full-time sitting in the office next to you, in a lot of ways we can get a lot of that kind of stuff done. So we absolutely do that. Now sometimes they don't, if they're a cold one coming in, sometimes those aren't as productive, but we do make a lot of those calls, outbound calls on lead gen emails or form-based emails. So
Yeah, that's a really good question. Okay, so if our potential contractor customer wants to call back, do they call Jill's office or us directly? For example, if the contractor is ready to sign up to receive our leads, do they call us or Jill's office? I think that's up to you. I would have them. Well, that would be up to you on that end of it. If you
Yep,
want them,
definitely.
if I guess if you wanted them to call back Jill's office, I would. I guess if my suggestion would be is that use that as either an overflow or have them call you back as like your main office, and then they can just basically take the message for you and stuff. And again, that puts you in a position to where you're busy and important, and you've got an office that answers the phone directly, and they would answer it as though they were your own personal assistant, and say yes. We'll have Mr. So and So give you a call back, or set up a time, or even you could have a scheduler set up on that end of it. You could have an online scheduler, something like that. We could have them schedule a call
Yeah,
with
exactly.
you.
One of my recommendations there is have them call back the office, because then it positions you in a position of authority. But then also, um, when you set up how you want things run, what you want the deals to do, you can just say, hey, if they call in for me, screen them, and then you're welcome to schedule a time, and then we can just plug right into Google Calendars or one of your other calendaring programs, and
Yeah,
actually set it up. And then
that's
do a follow up
awesome.
email that sends them the appointment information, all the information about you. It really positions and pre-sells you before you
Yeah.
call them back up, and that's a possibility too. But it's however you want to design it.
There's lots. Yeah, these are like Lego pieces. You can just put them together. I mean, there's lots of those schedules on that. I think it's called oneschedule.com. It's like a very inexpensive service. It adjusts all the time zones. You can see the time windows that are open. You just click on it. It sends out the link to the person, and then it also reminds them. I mean, it's just a few bucks a month, so you can set all that kind of stuff up here. I know we covered this before, but I just want to make sure that everyone understands this. So, Rob, this is a question you wrote in here. Can we use them for fall over? In other words, the client doesn't answer the call, then Jill's office would. Absolutely. I mean, this is. I wouldn't think of Jill's office as just a one-time kind of operation where it's just helping you get a client, but also helping you with the follow-over of the clients, because you will be surprised and shocked. Even the best-run offices out there, no matter how professional they are not going to answer all the phone calls during business hours. And if you can have the follow-over there, then like what Josh was saying, now you have a billable call instead of a missed call, right? You have a billable call, and then you're also having Jill's office call right back and say, hey, guys, we got this lead for you. If they don't answer the phone again, then you can instruct them to maybe email it to them as well. That way, they know that, hey, you're really serious about your lead gen business. You're serious and you care about their business. It becomes a win-win situation. So this is a really good service that you can use, not just in the beginning, but throughout the lifetime of your client. Not only to help you acquire the client, but to keep your client for life.
And the bill part, because you're going to this calls going to be billed for.
Okay, good. Chris, would you recommend that we use Jill's office telephone number on that end of it, or your own to start? David, that's up to you. You know, usually because it's so low cost. I mean, it's just to have this service, and it's so professional. And two of the most popular coaching calls that I had was building your dream team, and that's you can tell that Josh and his team and Michelle, she's part of their dream team. I mean, you hire the best of the best, and you're gonna have a best company at that end of it. And it's the same thing here. You don't want to be the one person show on this end of it. So I would say no. Get in the habit right now of bringing on your dream team, and Jill's office can definitely be a key part of that, and a very scalable part of that as well. You don't want to, a lot of people will call themselves entrepreneurs, but really what they are is they are solopreneurs. And really what a solopreneur is just somebody who works more than someone at a full-time job and probably gets paid about the same. And that's not what you want to get in. Your job as an entrepreneur is really to create jobs and create amazing services, and that's built around people, not yourself doing all the work. If a call comes in, after hours, is it recorded and then followed up with a return call from the service? That's a great question.
It is, yeah. Michelle, why don't you grab that one?
So if it does come after hours, it will go to the voicemail. We actually, they're kind of in your court, whether or not you want us to follow up on them. But if you do, you can just, send us an email or action item back to us, say, hey, follow up on this lead. But again, it will notify you on your app if any new voicemail you have, transcribe it there for you, and then you can send it back to us for us to follow up on, or if you want to do it, yourself. Again, it's just totally in your control and power how you want to handle that.
Nice. Alan says on here, Alan's a customer of yours. He says, Michelle is so good, and all the Jills are very, very professional. Okay.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Can I forward the email directly to Jill's service? Yeah, you can. It's just in the plugin. You can CC it. You can forward it to a number of people. So yeah, you could do that. You just need to obviously work with your head Jill to determine the exact email for that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Let's see. Go. So a couple more. I know you guys. Sounds like a Canadian to me. This is a great idea. Blah blah blah. Okay. Awesome. Okay. One last question on here. How is the information that Jill's office collects? How is that delivered back to me? I assume it's something online or through email.
There's a couple ways to approach it. Michelle mentioned this app and an action item. So the first and foremost, everything that happens every interaction that happens is tracked in what we call this app. And so that app becomes basically your command center for what's going on. You can direct your deal back. Like the previous question was, well, you want us to call them back, and so you can just tap on a call back, and then they'll make a call. So you can really interact your in regard. But people we don't want to
Hey Josh, you're cutting out on us, buddy. I'm gonna cut you off there. So basically, it's flexible. They can call you back. They can email you back. I think that their app, they have a way to message you back as well. But nevertheless, we're just talking about a transfer of information in zeros and ones. This day and age, that's not communication is. And getting information to other parties is not an issue there. So I'm going to go ahead. It's Friday night for a lot of these guys, so I'm going to really thank Josh and Michelle for coming out on their Friday night to spend with all of you. I've put their link on here. It's just jillsoffice.com. It's not an affiliate link. I don't get anything from it. They just offer a great service. And I know that if you utilize them, it would really, really help out your business. I can't see why it would not be a win-win. And it would be something you would use now and long-term with your clients, so that they're kind of the last, they're like the last net. And they're going to make sure that there's not going to be any of your leads, any of your live leads that are going to be missed on that. And because when those get missed, it's just dollars out the window on that end of it. So awesome stuff in that. Any closing comments from Jill's office?
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. Just kind of a parting thought. I encourage you all to reach out and schedule and just talk with Michelle. Her schedule fills up quick, and so when you onboard, for $5, it's not like $1,000 sell. And I don't know how many webinars you're on. You get hit with this massive price. I think this would be the cheapest one that I've ever seen.
Definitely.
But you would schedule time to actually talk with you and see what sites you have and develop your strategy. I mean, and we don't charge for that. For I didn't mention this, Chris, but for you guys, we're not going to charge for that because I think we love this community. I'm a part of this community. It's been my lifestyle and my career, so we're not going to charge for that. That initial aspect, but you do need to get on her schedule because it does fill up fast, and you can see she's in high demand. And yeah, thank you for having us on tonight, Michelle.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Okay, awesome. Then we will move on to the second half of our coaching call. I could really just end it right here, which I probably should have been an hour, but I promised I would follow through with the second part of it. So we will do this. And so let me move on to that. This won't take very much time, but this is really well worth it on here, especially if some of you you can't see light at the end of the tunnel for like some of your lead gen sites on here. I'm going to go through this site, and you can come back at a later date. But I want you to take note. The site is ranking in at least 200 cities on page 1 with no backlinks. And I'm going to show you proof right now. I'm going to show you overwhelmingly proof, and I'm going to show you why they're able to do this, and it's exactly what I teach on here. So this is the porta potty niche. So this is porta potty Boise, Idaho, on that, and I'll just show you where they're ranking. They're not always number 1 on here, but your goal is not always to be number 1 on here. They're here, and let's take a look at the Majestics on here. This is it. That's the link. Zippo 0 links on here. There's no anchor text because there's no backlinks. Let's just continue down the road here and take a look at these. This is Porta Potty, Idaho Falls. Now on here. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute. I think Idaho Falls is kind of a small city. I think that Idaho Falls is about 85,000 people or so. And I'm pretty certain that if you went on the Google Keyword Planner, which I have a love-hate relationship with that. Remember, that's for AdWords. It's not for SEO, but it's a tool that we can use. But when you use it in conjunction with some of the Video Zero exercises that I teach, then it becomes really powerful. By itself, it's really only designed for AdWords. But anyways, it would probably show 10. That's kind of their default. When they get like 1 or 2 calls, they just default it to 10. You'd probably get 10 calls coming. You probably think, oh, that's not a good place to go. But recall, I think it was May. You just have to look at the descriptions, but I think it was May 31st. We had Jeannie on, and Jeannie actually showed. She showed her sites, and she showed like the 6 cities she's in, and all of them were like Idaho Falls or smaller. And she's bringing in about $15,000 profit per month. And then next coaching call, we will have a Callzoo student who is implementing what I teach, and then following to and borrowing some of what Jeannie does. And I think he said, we'll clarify this next week, but I think he's ranking. He just started this. He's ranking like in 30 or to 50 cities on page 1. So, and this is what I'm showing you right here. So this is Porta Potty, Idaho Falls, and here they are right there. And again, 0 backlinks. How do they do that? Let's just go over some more here because this is unbelievable. Porta Potty Pocatello. Now Pocatello is about, I think, around 150,000 on that. So they're right here, number 2. And mine's ranking is going to show a little bit different than everyone else's. If you're wondering where the Google 3-pack is and stuff, that's just because I got a Korean IP address. Again, 0 backlinks on here. This is Gary, Indiana. Again, not a huge city. In fact, I think it's one of the most dangerous cities in the United States, if my memory serves me right. But anyways, I think they're a population of around 100,000 or so right here in the top 3. Again, same old, no backlinks whatsoever. We go down the line here, and this is Hampton. This is Indianapolis on here. And again, they're ranking there. And again, no backlinks whatsoever on here. And this is going to get boring, so I'll just keep going down the road. This is Beaverton. And this is actually a fairly large suburb outside of Portland, Oregon. And Beaverton's a little over 100,000 population on here. And a lot of people have this conception that they've got to like go after the big cities on that. And it's no, you don't. And they're, where are they here? They're right up here on number 2. I'm going to show you a map. Again, no backlinks on here. And again, here's the one for Portland, right? So here's Beaverton, right? There's Beaverton, and here's Portland. They also have Gresham. They have Vancouver on here. They have Hillsborough on that. Again, the ranking above the fold, no backlinks on that. It just goes on and on and on. This is Bend, Oregon. Bend, Oregon is probably about 120,000 on that. Again, no backlinks. There's a Majestica on it. And if we take a look at like the map here, what they're doing, if you look at Portland, they're going after Portland, but they've also added Gresham. They have Lake Oswego. They have Tigard. They have Beaverton. They have Hillsborough on here. And if we go to their site on here, see, this is their top porta potties in Oregon on here. So you see they have the Portland, right? They have Oregon City. It's a small city. Medford, I think, is about 50,000 on that. There's Tigard. That's just a little bit outside of Portland. It's like a suburb on that. Lake Oswego is another suburb there. So is Gresham. There's Hillsborough. We just pointed those out. And there's Beaverton on here. So even if somebody doesn't, you want to keep this in mind here. Even if somebody, you might be going for the Portland because they have the larger numbers, but if somebody is their IP address is in Beaverton on here and they're typing in porta potty, even if they don't type in Beaverton but their IP address is there, you're going to show up the one that says the one that's in Beaverton, because Google wants to give you the best possible results locally on this end of it. So again, no backlinks on here. So how are they doing this on here? Well, we're gonna examine how they do this right now. So first of all, what I've always said on here is that you want to have good content on this end of it, and you want to have a minimum of 500 words, but the more the better. So if you study every single one of their pages on here, if we look at their word count, is they follow a pattern. It's between 800 and 900 words. Okay. What's the other thing that I teach in the course is that you want to make sure that your content is not copied and pasted from the other cities. You want to rewrite the content on here. Okay, and people always come back and they go, yeah, but Chris, I see other master domain sites and they've just switched out the name of the city and the phone number and they're ranking. Yes, they are, but yes, they got a lot of backlinks to them too. And I'm not convinced that in the long run that fits in the algorithms on here. And this is just proof of it. If you go back and you study each one of their sites, you can get a feel for exactly how they rewrote the content on here. Instead of spending hours and months, you're writing content for private blog networks and doing all this other backlinking work on here and waiting for the backlinks to come through. They still have backlinks. I'm going to show you in a second, but not much. They're instead spending focusing their focus time on writing the content and rewriting the content for each area, which is going to cost less and take less time and be very effective, as you can see here, by just rewriting the content with no backlinks on it. So if you just kind of look through, you say, our portable toilet company in Lake Oswego is equipped to take care of all kinds of situations. What do they have on the next one? This is Gresham, just right next to Lake Oswego. Porta Potty Pros offers portable toilets in virtually any occasions for Gresham, Oregon. You will not have a portable toilet at your Gresham area longer than you want it. They've rewritten this entire thing on here. So it's all rewritten. You can look at all their pages. You can start to develop kind of a pattern that they do. People have contacted our support desk and said, well, how do you rewrite all the content? Isn't that impossible to do? I mean, look at what they've done here on the end of it. So I think you could probably safely get away with like 20 to 30% original content, so you don't have to totally rewrite it. But follow these guys' pattern. If you study enough of their pages, you'll see they've got a pattern. They've kind of got like 7 different templates, and they kind of mix those templates around but they're not all 100% original, but they're going through there. So let's take a look at that. I think their root domain. Where's the root? Okay, so this is their root domain, their portapottypros.com. And we'll go here to switch to show all of them. So, over the past 5 years, which this site is 3 years and like a month old. Okay, so it's not some age site or something like this, but the total links, and some of them drop off, the total links that they've had from a referring domain, so from the unique domains on that is somewhere between 80 and 70, and currently right now it's around 22 on here. They do not have huge backlinks. They don't have huge sites on here. Spare parts direct, plumbing zone. I mean, these backlinks on here, and look at this: deleted, no follow, deleted, no follow, no follow. These guys are really leveraging off of their original content and the fact that what they're doing is they're coming in here, and I'll show you other cities on here. They're coming in here, and they're saying, you know what? Just as we teach, we're not just going to hit the Portland area. Now we're going to hit all the little areas around Portland. Let me show you the map again. They've got in here. You've got the Beaverton, the Tigard. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this. You can see this on here, but the size of the text represents the population. So, like, you see how Banks is smaller text and Hillsborough is larger? Okay, that means that Banks has a much smaller population. So I would be going more for this size text, like the Hillsborough, Beaverton, Target. I would be not doing Sherwood on here. I wouldn't mess with, Beaver Creek on here. Lake Oswego, yes, look at the size of it on here. Gresham, yes, look at the size of that. Vancouver, definitely on that. And that's their strategy. That's what they're doing on here. And they're hitting all these. Salem's another one on here. If we go back and we look at some of their other areas, they do the exact same thing. So everyone here is going after, a lot of people here I know go after Texas because I give that example. But I mean, remember, there are a lot of other states out there. So if we go to Texas, let's see what they're hitting there. Okay. So, yes, they have Houston, but what's around Houston? Let's go ahead and take a look at that, and you'll see. Oh, that's not going to work, is it? Okay. I could have just clicked on it. It was right there. But that's okay. Oh, okay. So that's where I am. Houston, Texas. Let's take a quick peek at the map there, and you'll see what their strategy is on here. Let me just increase the size of this a tad bit. Let's scoot it over. So they don't just have Houston, right? They're going to have, look at Pasadena. See the size of that? Baytown, okay. Sugarland, see the size of that? Pearland, okay. So let's go back and see what are those that they're doing on here. They got Plano, that's another one. Pasadena, there's one. Mesquite on here. Corpus Christi, that's around the Dallas area. El Paso, Fort Worth, Garlington, that's around Arlington, Austin, Brownsville. So they're hitting some of the smaller markets around there, and that's their strategy. That and they're writing almost original content. I mean, every single page when you look at is you're not going to find a sentence that's the same, and they've got between 800 and 900 words on that of it. So, granted, it's not the most competitive marketplace in the world, but what they're doing is they're spreading their net out wide and far. How would you like to have this site? The site clearly specializes in porta potty, and it's actually, when you look at the site, what they are, I'll show you. If we go to Arizona, I'm going to go to one of the cities on here. See, this is another one. So this is exactly what I tell everybody. These examples that I give all the time because I know the area because I was from there. Well, wasn't born there, but lived there. But you have Phoenix, right? Well, don't just do Phoenix. Do Scottsdale right there because it's right there. Do Tempe because that's like right downtown Phoenix. Some people figure don't to do it, but you want to. Mesa, definitely. That's like 250,000. It's a suburb, but it's 250,000. Gilbert on that. Glendale. Goodyear. These are all Chandler. Those are all areas when you're looking at the map on here. Let me just do this one more time. And here, type in the Phoenix. See what they've done. Okay, so here it is. Okay, you don't just go after Phoenix. How you're going to rank these things and how you're going to get the maximum number of calls in is you're going to have a separate page. Scottsdale. See, this is exactly what they have. Scottsdale, Tempe, Macy, Gilbert, Chandler. Look at the size of the text there. Okay, we're not got like Fountain Hills is pretty small on that. Apache Junction is kind of small print on the end of it. Goodyear is not, and they have it there. Peoria, definitely. Glendale, definitely. Surprise, yeah, I'd do that. And that's how you build those up. And that's their strategy, and they're definitely working on that. What else did I want to say about this site? Yeah, if you look at the site, let's just look at their Phoenix page for a second. Look at their Phoenix page on here. This is actually a directory site, but what they've got is they've got some kind of exclusive contract with. I've studied their site with this and one other national carrier on here because it's got their phone number on it, their 800 number on that. So imagine having a site like this where you've got literally 250 cities on here ranking. Yes, some of them are smaller, but this is, we have to move past that. There's plenty of money to be made in those, especially when you can be ranking in them so easily when you provide good content on your site. It's the way to go, folks. So that's the power of a master domain site. And in a more competitive niche, this isn't a layover niche, but in a more competitive niche, and I've done those before on the coaching calls. You're going to need, for those 4 to 7 cities, you're going to need some good backlinking power to those, and then everything else is going to kind of come together. It's just everything else just starts to rank so much easier. So, all right, this has lasted quite a long time for today. So let me get to the questions and answers real quick here. We'll do about 10 minutes of those, and then we'll wrap it up. And it's not an off-top question. Do I send a support ticket? How do I find the training? Best way to find membership plugin? I mean, I'll put it in here, support@callzero.com. 7 days a week. They're always there. Okay. Is a porta potty for a client or a rental site? They've actually set it up as a directory site, but instead of putting a whole bunch of porta potties in there, they basically, if you go through their site, they just have 2. But if they found a third one, they'd probably throw a third one on there. So, and they just list them like that. And that's how we've got. We'll post this up pretty soon. Oh, by the way, building your dream team. We've started, although I've got offices in the Philippines, just to diversify. We've started hiring outside of the Philippines just because of the recent president who was hired there. It's turning into a dictatorship. And he's going on a rampage. Just at least 1,000 people by now have been killed that have been reported. Unfortunately, it's really sad. And is anybody related to drugs? They don't even have due process. It's just if you're related to drugs, or we think you're related to drugs, we're going to shoot first and ask questions later. That's literally the attitude they're taking, and it's vigilante. It's very scary. So it's not affecting our offices and our people, but it could grow into something. So we're just diversifying. But this is a good place. This is for the European market, job rack. You're going to find really good workers out of Ukraine, Romania, on that end of it, for very similar prices that you can in the Philippines. Just FYI. What was I going to show you? Oh, so. Yeah, we'll have this up pretty soon. What is it called? The Call Zoo directory. Okay. And so these templates that we're making, you're going to be able to just one click and it will just upload to your plain site, and then you can edit it from there. But this is how we use the Callzoo theme for a directory site if you wanted to do a directory site on that. So this example is for emergency dentist. This is just a sample site on here. Call the nearest dentist near you, and you could just have 2 dentists here. You could have 6, as I've shown here on this end of it, and then find an emergency dentist near you. And this is a clickable, so these click on. If you click on this one, then it matches one of the dentists up here. Okay, again, these are the same pictures. That's only because it's a sample site. Okay, but you would have a picture of from a local emergency dentist on here, and it's, you know, just give a little bit emergency dentist, address, hours, really simple stuff, right? That's the situation. I got an emergency here. Click to schedule an appointment, or I can easily find which one is nearest me here. I would click on it. It would also go to their page. So if I click here, then it's just one full page on here, and it's just you just put the information in that you'd want to about this. Usually something like this has to be niche related, you know, about them, their hours, their payment types, do they accept insurance. You'd put that information in here, types of emergency procedures that they do, their hours of operations, another flash of their map on here, and then, you know, call. It would have their company name. You just click to call on here, click to call, and usually when you pull up their map, they're usually going to have their own ratings here if they're a good company, so those would show up there. And you can also have people leave ratings down below, or they can go back down and they go, nope, I need to go back to the Phoenix area, find another one, or they can hit the back button, whoops, on here, or Scottsdale and stuff. Anyways, that's we'll go over it more, but this is just and then all of this up here, this is all the directory stuff. So it's like this, say in Scottsdale, right? Which is the way you'd want to set it up, just like we're doing the master domain sites. This is the exact same as a master domain site directory site. So maybe in Scottsdale you might have 2, 3, or 4 emergency dentists. You know, they're all paying you a monthly fee for this, and then they're able to also you put a tracking number on here so that they can see the value of it. So they know that the $300 or $500 a month they're paying you to place their ad here. They can see how many calls come in, so they can quantify it, and they can log into the back end of the Callzoo system and, you know, have their own logins and stuff. But same setup here in Scottsdale. But then what you have down here, this is where now you have all the content. This is where you have all the content. You'd have more content on here. You'd have like the 800 to 900 words on here, and some images and stuff, useful information down below here. The truth of the matter is that very few people are going to scroll down there. They're just going to stop here and go to here. All this stuff down here is all for Google. Okay. So anyways, we'll get into more of that later, but let me get to the questions and answers. I'm making this phone call way too long on here. Okay, so if we, Matt asked in here, if we start off by ranking in smaller cities first, which is perfectly fine, will that make it more difficult to rank in key cities later? No, as opposed to doing all the hard work and ranking. What I would do first is like if you come into this is how you want to do it. So let's just look at an actual example on here. So if you're going to start out in Phoenix, you're gonna start out immediately. You're gonna have Phoenix. You're gonna have all the major areas around here. Tempe, again, look at the size of the text. See, look, this is Guadalupe. Look how small it is. I'm not gonna include that as a city, but Tempe definitely. Mesa, yes. Mesa. Gilbert, Chandler, yes. Chandler Heights, nah. Look how small that is. Queen Creek, look how small that text is there. I'm not gonna do that. Peoria, I'm just gonna use these examples. Goodyear, Litchfield Park, text is a little too small for me, so I'm not going to do it. And the text size is related to the population. So I don't know what the exact population is at, and I don't think it's an exact science. It's just some kind of range that Google gives. That's how you do it. You have the whole area here. You would start backlinking to the Phoenix area first on here, and you're going to start to see some of these other areas start to pop up on here. And that's how you just come into to all the areas, and we could just, go over the same thing if we went, if you're going to go to, this is exactly what they did here. If you go to like Boise, Idaho, a lot of people would never think of Boise, Idaho. Well, think again. So, these are, you look at Boise, Idaho, and you go, okay, so this is Boise. And then you definitely do Meridian. See the size of that? There's Meridian on that end of it. You definitely do Nampa. Look at the size of that there. Then if you scale back on here, you definitely do Caldwell on here and Eagle. And then we'd scale back a little bit more. Idaho's not a highly populated place at all on the end of it. And then what have you got here? You got Twin Falls. So let's kind of zoom in on Twin Falls. Twin Falls is basically just Twin Falls. So I would just have Twin Falls on there. And this is exactly what these guys have done if you go down and you look at their Idaho and where they are. So it's a really good model to follow, folks. Okay. Is it partially spun? I don't know if they spun it or not, Brian, but you can look at it and say, I would encourage you to read like 20 or 30 of their different city pages and follow the pattern that they've got there. They've definitely got, to me, it looks like they've got about 10 templates that they use, and they're just kind of mixing those around. What would a real business do? Do that. Exactly, Tom. What theme did they use? I have no idea, but you just use a Callzoo theme. The Callzoo theme, you can do something like that for sure. So Porta Potty started with one city, wrote unique content. Then they started a new page for a new city, wrote some new content, and they kept doing this. And they started with smaller cities and the main city. This is correct, yes. Outsource the articles. Yeah, this would be, and really, this would be something to where you could actually, if you're looking for a outsourcer, literally you could probably hire an outsourcer for like 3 months. Just a full-time outsourcer for 3 months. Show them that Porta Potty site. You need to, you can't just hand over things to other people and say, hey, get this done, grow my business, because life and business does not work that way. You need to also really study the Porta Potty site, study the content on here, take the time to read 20 or 30 of their pages and say, what's the pattern here? What are they doing? Let me take their pages on here. Where am I? On here. And I'm looking at their word content on this. This is just free. There's a whole bunch of wordcounter.net, right? I just copy and paste it and put it in here, right? But what's really interesting that you can do, right here, they got 872, some have 900, some have an A800 on here. But you look at their keyword density. Now, this is surprising to me, and I did this to like 15 other pages. They're all consistently the same. This is a little higher than what I would do, but it's obviously working with them on here. Look at what their main keywords are, right? Porta Potty. It's 5% keyword density. But what's really interesting to me is that the city that they're in is consistently 6% in there on that. And they got rental, pros, that's obviously their branding, toilet, partners, that's the 1X. And we go to their next ones. Again, like Oswego, Porta Potty, partners, Company Lake, Portal Rental. They're you can, follow success. Success leaves clues everywhere. Just follow it. They leave it everywhere. And and even if you wanted to go into the same niche, all you got to do is do it a little bit better. People are always thinking they got to come up with the new Google, Facebook, the new Uber, the new, Airbnb, the new, Snapchat or whatever. No, you can be enormously successful, enormously wealthy by just doing the exact same thing everyone else is doing, just a little bit better. Okay, let's continue on with these questions. So, anyways, I want to go for the outsourcing. This would be a great idea. You would study the outsourcing articles of that site, and you'd say, you know what, I understand the pattern here. I'm going to take some notes down about this pattern, and as part of the interview process, or as part of the job description, we're saying I'm looking for a full-time writer. The full-time writer job is that they're going to write between 800 and 900 pages for over 300 cities. Okay, and they need to follow the uniqueness and the pattern of this particular site. Please do not apply for this job until after you've studied the site and you understand the scope of the work. This is exactly what you're going to be doing. You're going to be writing like this. Notice how they're different from page to page to page on this. And that would be a fantastic. You could get somebody for around $300 or $400 full time, and bam, you'd have 200 or 300, 200, 500 cities up. And what is that going to cost you total? 800, and it's going to take months to do. Okay, this is a long time for one person, what's that going to cost you? $800, $1,000 to do on that, and it's not too much you want to spend time doing it, and then that versus I'm going to do it myself, and I'm just going to backlink my way to it. You'll end up spending the same amount, and you may not get where you want to go. Alrighty. Okay. Good. Yeah. So Ann says, well, they don't rank well in Houston. We're talking about the porta potty people. Oh, geez, point them out, man. There's something wrong with them, right? They don't rank well in Houston. How about? And I had no idea if this is true or not. How about porta potty Plato? Because that's how they play the game. I have no idea if this is the case on here, but let's just check it out. Well, Plano, Texas, right there. I'd much rather be ranking in Plano, Texas with, I'm going to guess, 0 backlinks. Let's just take a look at this. So if you're trying to point out their faults there, whoever wrote that comment on here, then you're missing everything. You're missing, you're swatting a fly while the elephant's walking behind you. And you're trying to look for the elephant, but you're too busy swatting flies. So let's take a look at this. My guess is going to be 0 because that's their pattern, right? I didn't hand pick anything. Oh, wow. How about that? 0 links again. That's my doorbell. I think there's someone home to answer it, though. Okay, they maybe just haven't decided they were going to target the Houston area on that end of it. Okay. Okay. Fountain Hills, 65,000 people. That's plenty good enough. Again, we're going to have a guest on as a Call Zoo member. He's one of our more active members in the Facebook group. He's a real asset to the community, and he's volunteered his time to come on and share his experience with doing this technique. Here, and he'll have his own insights to it. That's a great question, Michael. They do not have a local address in their cities. Let's see here. I'm going to skim through a couple more of these. Good. Can you build out the cities first before you start ranking, or should you wait to start building out the cities? I would just go straight in. I'd say, look, I'm going to go for Portland, Oregon, and I'm doing Portland, Oregon, and all those the Beavertons, the Lake Oswego's, the Hillsboroughs. I'm going to go into Phoenix. I'm going to hit Phoenix, and then I'm going to do the Scottsdales, the Gilberts, the Chandlers, the Mesas, the Tempes, and I'll just go on and on and on like that. Each page is a different template. Each page has different words on it, different content, but it's the exact same thing. Yeah, as far as the Ray, for the linking, the backlinking structure on that, you're going to want to hit 80% of your backlinks are going to want to hit to your cities, and the way you want to divide up your cities on that of it is that like the majority of your backlinks, is particularly in the first 4 to 7 major cities that you rank in. What we found, and then we've had guests on here before. We had the guest on, I think not maybe last week or the week before, I can't remember. But the guy who went from 0 to moving to Europe with his girlfriend, and now they have a newborn and stuff, and he had to find a way to really build. He had his why at that point, so he had to build his lead gen business, which he did. And I asked him on the call. I said, are you doing the master domain model? And he's ready to start. Yes, most definitely. And then he went on to say he wished he would have started it earlier on that end of it. So this definitely works on here, especially once you get. And he confirmed the same thing. Everyone does. It's like once you start ranking in 4 to 5, 7 cities, all depends on the niche, major cities. After that, it just kind of all comes to play. There's some kind of algorithm set up in there that's Google's like, we trust you, you're cool, go for it. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Plano is next to Dallas. Okay, so Anna on here. Plano is next to Dallas. I really do not need your crappy attitude. So crappy of you. All right, Anna. You're entitled to your opinion. The company is headquartered in Houston. Maybe they don't want the competition. That's a possibility. Is it better to have a simple theme to rank on page 1 because it would be faster loading? Loading speed is really important. And if you contact my support, I know a lot of people ask, we give you there's a discount link to Bluehost, but we use the Bluehost iCloud on that, and on the iCloud, that's where you have one of the fastest upload speeds, and it's cost just the same as any other regular GoDaddy hosting or HostGator or whatnot, and that's a good. You can have a complex site as long as the upload speed is fast. You can have simpler site. It doesn't matter. It's more the speed on that end of it. But I think it's more important the speed and the ease of usability for the people, the prospects that land on it, and obviously you're writing this thing for Google, right? Okay. Let's see here. Let's go a couple more. Alrighty. Have we ever sold a site of ours that's nationwide? We haven't. I've given examples of which one was it that I gave as a case study. It was it sold for $32 million. It was. I think if I type it in, it's a rehab. Rehab.org, I think is it. This is another one that I give I think this is it. I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, definitely. Okay, good. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up on here. Chris, is there any way I can PM you on Facebook? No, there's not. Last time I did, but you never replied to my messages. I'm not a support desk, Martin, but I have 34 employees and 2 personal assistants that run my life. And any question you'd have for me, you'd go to support@callzoo.com. And if they can't answer it sincerely and honestly like I would, then they will contact me. So I'm not trying to ignore you. I get hit 10,000 times. And so what I've done instead is I've hired my dream team. So use them. I've hired them for you. I pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for them so that they can service you much better than I can. Okay. Thanks, Chris. You're the best. Thank you. Alrighty, cool. Let's go ahead and wrap this up here. Been almost 2 hours. Packed a lot of good content on here. Remember, next week I won't mess up on the link on that. I'll have this replay up in a very short period of time. But our next call will be another doozy one. It'll be really good. I know the guest personally. He's in my private mastermind group he's in. He's a great person. And he'll have a lot of really great knowledge, and he's going to extend and share his own experiences with expanding out into these smaller cities. I think he said he was ranking like 30 or 50 of them. He just recently started in it on page 1. So this stuff works. And if you know, sometimes you just need to get hammered over the head of it a whole bunch of times, and you just need to see it again and again before you say, I can do it. I'm going to do it. So one big takeaway too I would do is it's a really good way to think about it. Is people always say, well, I can't imagine myself writing all the content for all those cities. Okay, then if you can't imagine yourself doing it, you're not going to be able to do it. Then go out there. I just gave you a site there. There's so many sites out. This is just one on here. Looking for a full-time writer, you probably hire them for 2 or 3 months. They'd have like 300 cities built out for you on here with the content. You just train them how to build out the cities too. And stuff, and it would be really, really good use of your time and your money and your efforts. And you'd give them that porta potty site as example, and you give them the guidelines. You'd want to study it first. That's an awesome way to go. So, all right, my name is Chris Winters. Thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you on the next coaching call. Take care. Bye-bye.